four-time Emmy-nominated producer, Frank Pace, with retired New York City firefighter and Vietnam vet, Billy O'Connor.
My brother Frankie, how the hell are you, pal?
Good. How was your Christmas?
Oh, man, it was great. Of course, I'm restricted a little bit because I didn't get to see the grandkids. Skype call was all I could manage. But man, they're getting big, too. It's been a year since I've seen them, which is heartbreaking. But, 80 million people are traveling for Christmas despite all the recommendations not to go anywhere. So, I think you got to be responsible. You can't put other people in jeopardy,
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, my Christmas was nice. Thanks for asking.
You know what? I was going to make you sent me that nice gelato. You sent me that nice Italian gelato. I was going to make you a nice Irish soda bread. And then I said, how the hell am I going to get it to him? I'm not driving down to Pasadena. And the mail, you got to see the mail up here. It's like everybody's shopping on Amazon. The post office is like, there's got to be 60 people online. And, of course, you can only go in one at a time.
Yeah.
Because we got a small P.O. box up here,
Hey,
So,
Derek. Hey, Derek, how was your Christmas?
My Christmas was amazing. I had so many gifts stacked to the ceiling. I gave so many gifts. It was awesome. In fact, there was snow on the outside of the window seal as well. So it was great.
Well, mine must not have arrived yet.
Your
From
Christmas
you.
present?
Yeah, must not have arrived yet. But
I'm giving you both Irish soda bread. You'd be lucky if you get them by New Year's.
Well, after that response from last week's show, I'm not sure if you deserve a gift.
who, me or him?
You.
Which one was that?
I never gave it a thought. Giving you ice cream?
Yeah, well, you should have sent my wife a gift.
Okay, I will definitely. I will.
Eric, did you get your contract in the mail from Frankie? I just signed the contract for another year. He's giving me $80,000.
Oh, really?
500 a year.
Wow.
Signed the contract 500 a year for the next 160 years.
I sent you a check.
Mine said perpetuity.
I sent you both checks.
I bet you did.
That's a good idea. I outsmarted him, Bill. I got 160 years at 500 a year. So I'm gonna, given his propensity for living, I'm sure I'm gonna get my money.
Well, the first year you're overpaid.
500's too much for me. I agree with you. but as long as I take a check, you got nothing to worry about.
Yeah, but I had a nice Christmas. I was with my granddaughter for her first Christmas, so that's nice. I'm lucky they live only 10 minutes away from us, so we see them quite a bit. I feel for you, Billy, though. It's tough not seeing any grandchildren.
Yeah. It's great seeing them. Thank God for the Zoom and the Skype and all that, but still and all, it's tough on people. And I get it, the 80 million people traveling, but because they want to be together for the holidays, but you can't sacrifice one Christmas for the sake of never having another Christmas.
Yeah.
I mean, I a buddy of mine is a brain surgeon. I swear to God. He's actually is an in-law, what I call a cock relation in the Bronx. He's a cock relation, but he's a brain surgeon. And he told me it's incredible in the hospitals, in the emergency, just incredible. They're backed up like they usually have two. They got like 150 people waiting to get in. It's terrible. So you got to be responsible. It sucks.
Well, that's too bad. I mean, I really feel for people. I feel for people that's hurt. I feel for people that are sick. I feel for the 330 people that can't feel for themselves.
You know what pisses me off, Frank? I'll tell you what pisses me off. I just saw that Joni Ernst, that senator from Iowa. She was like the first in line to get the vaccination, right? Here's a chick who was against masks. She was against the vaccination. She was against them. I say put them in the back of the line. Let the guys who stock the shelves, the grocery shelves, let the guys who drive the trucks, let them get their vaccinations first. Because you know what? If Congress, both sides of the aisle, has proved anything, they're not essential workers.
Yep.
They're not.
They are. You're right.
Those son of a bitches.
And I saw this morning that 6 senators voted against the stimulus plan. Ted Cruz was one of them, and Scott.
Look at the deficit.
Yeah. Look at the deficit.
Can you believe the ball of these bastards?
But they
because
gave
of the deficit.
Kanye got $5 million.
Who did? Kanye.
Kanye West
For what?
$5 million for what?
for whatever. You guys,
What the hell did he do to get $5 million?
You mean for a PPP
Yes.
loan or whatever it's called?
yes, sir.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Man, it's just a cesspool of corruption. Trump had one thing right. He said that he wanted to clean up the swamp. Of course, he made it worse. But by the same token, it is a swamp. It's a disgusting swamp. And the amount of money going into both sides of the aisle to make a man, it's enough to pull your hair out. What little hair I have left.
Yeah.
It's just disgusting.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'll get some checks out to some people, which not going to be enough money. But maybe some people won't be homeless. I mean, is that what we're coming down to in the United States of America, walking around and see people all over the streets? Is that going to be it?
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame.
But I got my 80,000 for the next 160 years. I'm set.
Great. So what do you want to talk about today? You had a topic you want to talk about.
I want to talk about because of the being confined. I've been watching a lot of movies, and I've been doing some writing, which is good. But I've been watching some movies, and I want to recommend two pieces for people who haven't seen them yet. One of them is that Queen's Gambit. I don't know if you've seen that yet, Frank, but I thought it was terrific.
I've seen it the first two times you asked me, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, but because of that Queen's Gambit, it sort of segued to a movie that's 35 years old in searching for Bobby Fischer. And that's another movie that's not really about chess. It's just a vehicle they use to tell a story about life. But I highly recommend it to anybody out there.
Great.
And you and Armin recommended last week, and he asked me if I had seen that Bee Gees special.
Yeah,
The special.
Did you see it?
I thought it was great, man. And you know, I'm not a big Bee Gees guy.
What'd you like about it?
Because again, I don't think it was a documentary about the Bee Gees as much as about a documentary about 40 years of our life. You know, between 60 and 2000. The way they reinvented themselves, the way they brought in Son of Sam, you know, like, and I could relate to them. You know, when there was big turmoil about 1979, 1980. When I was in the bar business, as you well know, and I had a big club. Well, big enough, you know, like relatively speaking. I held about 300 people. I used to do rock bands. I had Twisted Sister and Gary U.S. Bonds and the Drifters. And everybody around me started going disco. Because as we've talked about before, in the bar business, you want to make money, you got to have women. Especially, you know, you're dealing between kids 20 and 30 years old, 20 and 35 years old. They're out there looking for women. That's the deal. If you got a bar full of women, you're going to make money. So disco brought a lot of women into the place. And of course, they dressed to the nines, you know. And they put under the disco ball and they'd all be dancing. And that's not my bag, you know, the dancing thing. If I was going to get laid, I was going to talk my way into their pants or laugh my way into their pants. It wasn't going to be with my flashy dressing, as you can see. I'm not a slave. I'm not a slave to fashion by any stretch of the imagination. But I thought about it. I said, maybe I should go disco, man. Maybe I should, you know, maybe I'll make more money. And then all these discos started opening up around me. I was really under pressure. Do I go rock and roll? Do I stay rock and roll? Do I go disco? And it was a big place on Northern Boulevard. That's where I was located in Queens, on Northern Boulevard. And about a mile from me was a club called Eliphaz. And Eliphaz opened up, and they put a ton of money into the place. It just big, gorgeous club, maybe hold 500 people. And it was packed all the time. And then, which I really related to the movie about the Bee Gees, because Son of Sam was a big issue in 79 and 80. He had knocked off about a dozen people already with that 44 Magnum. And Stacy Moskowitz got shot right outside of Eliphaz on Northern Boulevard.
Mm-hmm.
And that put everybody into panic. So I'm going to tell you an anecdote about what happened to me. About a week after Stacy Moskowitz got shot, Northern Boulevard, I swear to God, Frank, the way it affected Queens, because that's where all of the shooting was going down in Queens. The way it affected Queens, it was like a morgue out there. Like Friday and Saturday nights used to be packed. Everybody was afraid to come out because he was shooting mostly lovers in cars. You know, a guy and a girl in a car necking. He was coming up and shooting them. So I'm working one night. It's like a Tuesday night. And I'm kind of bar because it's slow night anyway, and I want to pour myself into the business. I want to make myself visible. And I'm getting ready. It's like maybe I got 3 customers. It's a Tuesday night. It's like 7 o'clock at night. I'm dumping the ice into the, making a beer cold, setting up the juices, getting ready for the night. It's hopefully a rush. And it's pouring rain. And as I go over to pour the ice, I just look out on Northern Boulevard. Now, Northern Boulevard is like Broadway. It's a big street.
Right.
And nobody double parks on Northern Boulevard. And I see a double parked car. I said, that's odd. The 2 guys are sitting in the front seat, but they're double parked. I don't think much of it. I do my bit. But as I'm setting up, about 20 minutes later, I come back to the end of the bar. I look out, and the double parked car is still there, and it's running. And I says, wow, that's really odd. I got 3 people at the bar. I got a middle-aged fat guy in the middle of the bar and 2 guys at the end. All of a sudden, one guy gets out of the car and leaves the other guy in the car and closes the door, and the car's still running. And he starts heading for my door. Now, I'm in a racket. This is it. It's a holdup. I'm screwed. This guy's got the getaway car. This guy's coming in to stick me up. You know, I said, well, I only got about $1,000. All I got's the bank. You know, I'm not going to play hero. He's going to get the $1,000. I'm not a jerk. The guy comes in. He orders a beer. I give him the coaster. I give him the beer. And I'm still wondering. I look out, and I see the guy double parked. Now the other guy gets out of the car. And he comes walking to the door, and he's got the car still running. I said, now I know it's a holdup. You know, I'm done. This is a holdup, no doubt about it. He walks in, he goes right past his buddy, doesn't even say hello, and goes all the way down the other end of the 60-foot bar. Now they got me on both ends. I says, I'm ready to give him the money. I'm ready to put my hands up now. They don't even have to say anything. I go down there. I said, what do you have, pal? Give me a beer. I give him the beer. No sooner do I go back in the middle of the bar, the guy who came in initially pulls out a gun, revolver. Nobody move. I said, that's it. I got their hands up. I said, that's it. And then the other guy pulls out his wallet and goes, police department, nobody move. And I said, oh, thank God it's the cops. Now my heart is in my mouth. My mouth jumps down again. The 2 guys rush the middle of the bar, and they grab this balding fat guy, and they drag him into the kitchen. Now, I take a bottle of scotch. I pour the scotch into a mug, like a beer mug, you know, and I'm gulping down the scotch. And now I get and then, of course, my other 2 customers, they blow out the door. They're gone. They leave. Now I got an empty bar. The 2 cops are in the back with this guy, and I go, I'm pissed now, but I just take a good slug of scotch from Moxie, and I go running back there, and I says, what the hell's the matter with you guys? Why didn't you identify yourself? Why the hell did you tell me you were a cop? You scared the shit out of me. You know, I thought I was getting held up. The guy says, hey, listen, we got a procedure. He goes, go back behind the bar, shut your mouth, and mind your own business. Okay, officer, I go back behind the bar. Now I'm pouring more scotch. I'm drinking the scotch. They're back there with this guy for 30 minutes. Finally, they come out and they said, okay, no problem. He said, we thought he might be the son of Sam. We've been following him for an hour and a half. He fits all the descriptions, and we thought we might have the son of Sam, but he doesn't. He's got an alibi. Everything's okay. I said, wait a minute. Wait a minute. You're not leaving this guy here with me, are you? I said, I'm alone here in the bar. You're going to leave this guy with me? They said, oh, you know, he didn't do nothing. I said, well, take him with you. I said, get him out of here. I don't want him. But I had made the guy a martini, and the martini, of course, was sitting in the middle of the bar. The guy comes out, sits down, and he starts drinking this watered-down martini. The cops leave. And I'm not saying nothing to him. Thinking maybe I'll get the hint, he'll leave. Because, like I tell you, everybody's on edge because the son of Sam. He takes a sip out of the martini, the watered-down martini, and I'm doing everything but looking at this guy because I just want him to get the hell out of here. After about 10 minutes, he looks at me. He calls me over like this, and I walk over and tell him, yeah, still being kind of nasty, you know, concise. Yeah. He says, it's a nice night for a murder, isn't it? I said, what? What'd you just say, you son of a bitch? You motherfucker, you hump. And I grabbed his pipe. I had a pipe below the bar wrapped in tape that I used to use just in case, you know. And I took this pipe and I smashed it down on the bar in front of him. And I took a side swipe and took the martini glass and smashed it against the wall. I said, "That's it, you son of a bitch. You're out of here. Hit the bricks. You're 86. Get the hell out of here." I knew he didn't have a gun because the cops had frisked him. The guy points at me like this and he leaves. Now, I mean, it's pouring rain. The cops are gone. I got no customers. It's probably about 8:30 at night. Now I'm out in lights. I said, "Fuck, I'm out of here." My heart's going like this. I'm nice night for a murder. I said, "What the hell is this guy? What's the story? Maybe this guy's going to get a 44 Magnum. He's going to come back and blow me away, right?" I close the joint, 8:30 at night. I get into my car. I go down to Bell Boulevard, where we call it Booze Boulevard in Queens. There must be about 9 bars in a row. And I know every one of the bartenders, you know. So I go down there, I go bar hopping. Now I'm getting blasted. Now it's 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm in a car with this charming young whore, right? And of course, the inevitable happens. I'm parked on Bell Boulevard where Stacy Moskowitz got shot. And she's doing her thing. And I'm sitting back there. Now my head's like a periscope. I'm looking around like, I'm trying to enjoy what's going on. I think, what am I, crazy? It's 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm in Bell Boulevard. This chick's doing her thing. And what if this guy comes with a 44 Mag? But of course, I'm not in charge anymore. The thing below me is the judge, right? He's making all the decisions. And that's my Son of Sam story. But to go back to Bee Gees, they had the Son of Sam was going on. Disco was huge. And then all of a sudden, for some reason, the whole mystique changed. Everybody was down on disco all of a sudden, and they blamed the Bee Gees, according to this documentary. Anyway, look, make a long story short, watch the documentary. It's a great documentary. It's not about the Bee Gees. It's about the time, the era, you know. And I don't know why I got off on that rip.
No, it's great.
And ladies and gentlemen, there is my life. There is my life. It reminds me of George Burns and Gracie Allen when said, "Tell me about your Uncle Eddie, Gracie," and she talked for 39 years.
That's what my friend you fly out and Jamie O'Connor. Why don't you say a few thousand words?
So we're going to be joined here by Santa Claus in a little while. But
Yay!
But first, I want to ask Derek a question.
Yeah.
Charlie Pride passed away recently. Were you? And he was from Sledge, Mississippi. Were you a big Charlie Pride fan at all, or did you even know who Charlie Pride was growing up?
As I told you, I'm only an expert in Prince, but I do know who Charlie Pride is. In fact, my dad's name or nickname is Charlie, so I almost know everybody from Mississippi with the name Charlie. So I do know who he is. Absolutely.
What do you mean you're an expert in Prince? Would you get booked a lot, Derek?
Prince.
Prince.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm a little out of touch, right? You know,
All right.
I thought he was an expert in Prince.
Not Prince the way you know him.
I thought he was getting tossed a lot. Maybe you knew a lot about fingerprints.
Charlie
You know,
Pride.
but again, they do this in that movie. They go into John Travolta and, of course, the big deal with the disco. But they don't say that later on he made Urban Cowboy a couple of years later. And that switched the whole mystique again. Now everybody was into country music and line dance.
Yep.
Then I had none of this music to make. You know, but I stayed rock and roll. Anyway, so Prince, he's a big expert in Prince.
Yeah.
Yeah, Prince is amazing.
Did you party like it was 1999?
No, I wasn't a partier back then. I just liked the music. So
You know, I was never a big fan of his, but I was absolutely astonished when I saw how talented musically he was.
Oh,
that he could play five different instruments.
not 5, 18.
8. I didn't even know there was 18 instruments.
Not 5, 18, and not only that, he
Really?
also produced all of his music, like his own music, and he's also responsible for the layering of vocals in music. So you know how, let's say there's one singer, and you don't have backup singers, so he would actually sing his own backup and layer the vocals. So he was the one who started that.
I think Paul McCartney was doing that at a certain time as well.
Wasn't Phil Spector the guy who started that with the wall of sound, where he kept layering stuff on top of each other?
Well, I think that maybe you guys are. We'll have to check on that. We can check right
Yeah,
now.
you know what? Again, in the Bee Gees movies, they talked about how they were the first guys to lay down a steady drum track, like without a drummer, and that's
Yeah.
how they built the Saturday Night Fever thing, and
Yeah.
they layered that as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's another interesting thing of that, because Derek, I don't know anything about rap. I'm sure you do.
Why? Why should I know about rap? I don't. I don't follow you.
Work
I'm
yourself
not
out,
doing it.
yourself out of this one, Billy.
Explain that to
Well,
me
you know
exactly.
about Prince. You know about Prince. I
Prince,
think if you know about Prince, you probably know about rap too. I
No,
don't know. I mean,
that's a far stretch. Prince and rap. You better.
well, listen,
You.
you listen to kinds of music that I don't listen to. Like my
How-
son's
how
a
do you
big,
know that?
Eminem guy.
How do you know that?
Well, if you listen
I'm
to
just giving
Prince,
you a
you
hard
don't
time.
listen to Prince,
Okay.
right? So I mean, my son's a big Eminem guy. I listen to Irish music. I'm big on Irish music. Besides jazz and other kind of opera, I like rock and roll. I'm sure you have diverse tastes as well, but I'm sure you don't listen to Irish music, do you?
I do. Yes.
Do you really?
Yeah. Sinead O'Connor's my favorite.
Get out of here. She ain't even the Irish guy's favorite.
You know who Prince was a fan of?
Who is that?
Rod Carew.
Really?
Yep.
Really?
Prince grew up in Minnesota, and Rod was, the hero of Minnesotans. So
right.
he was and Prince was a great basketball player. Also, he was a big sports.
Really?
He was a little 5'2" guard, 5'3" guard. He played in high school, and he probably could have played. He probably had the skills to play a little bit higher if he was, a little bit bigger. But there aren't a lot of 5'2" basketball players in the world of college and professional basketball players outside of Monty Towell.
Right. Poor guy. He really loved basketball too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Did he? No kidding. I didn't know anything about that. But you're right about 5'2". Basketball's a really physical game. You get banged around out there. If you don't have any kind of muscle or weight behind you, you're in a jackpot. I delivered a washing machine back when I was doing Sears in Harlem, and there was Tiny Archibald's mother. Remember Tiny Archibald?
Yeah.
Talking about little basketball players, and he was I guess an anomaly. That he made it to the pros as small as he was, but he could shoot the eyes off it.
Well, he was 6 foot tall. Tiny Archibald was 6 foot tall.
Was he? Yeah, but that's
wow.
that's
I
kind of small for a guard, right?
Yeah.
I didn't think he was either. I didn't know that.
Didn't you also deliver something to Rod's mother? Rod Carew's mother? Maybe somebody else. Maybe somebody else tell me that story. I've heard so many stories out of you. It's hard for me to ascertain which one I hear from someone.
We were dropping off a washing machine. It was Tiny Archibald's mother. She had pictures of him all over the place. Wow, but that was, of course, he was still in the NBA at the time.
Yeah.
It was a big pick for me.
Yeah.
But I had no idea Prince played basketball. And 18 instruments. I had no idea of that either.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll give him a second look. Is he still around?
Is he still alive? Is that what you said?
Still around.
You know he's not alive, right?
Give him a second. Yeah, I know. I'm only breaking your chops.
Oh, okay.
Just like you with Sinead O'Connor, you hump.
Paul
Sinead my ass.
McCartney's got a new album now out called McCartney 3, and I think he played all the instruments on the album, and he sang all the backups. So it's probably an interesting thing for you to listen to, Derek, considering Prince isn't making any new music.
Well, they're going to open the vault, and we're going to get all the new music, or the old new music.
I believe all the music that he didn't want to release will be released.
Yeah, which is never good.
Which is never good. Which is never good.
I don't know, man. What do you, Frank? You know more about guys with talented guys, that whether it's in the music industry or the acting industry or even writing. When guys make it, their first album, their breakthrough album, to me, that's usually their best stuff. To get that breakthrough, it's so hard that.
It's not necessarily their best stuff because they probably made a couple of albums that were never released. So if it's very rarely their first stuff. They probably made a lot of recordings before that never were released. That's what Derek's talking about back in the archives because he didn't want to release it. So once they find their groove and they get something released, I think their confidence builds.
Yeah.
They think they can release it. They know that people are going to like something. So confidence is a great source of inspiration. That's for sure. Mark that down. I can't believe I said that. I was so astute.
That was great.
That's on the money. Didn't Billy Van Zandt say in his book that Lucille Ball didn't remember if she was funny anymore because everything she said people laughed at because they expected it to be funny?
Yeah, that's what he said. That's what he said for sure.
Yeah. And I think that's, kind of like, I got this thing for Cillian Murphy because he was born in Cork City and I was born in Cork City. And when I was in Ireland, he still lives in Cork City and his mother and father are teachers in Cross Haven. Like he's a real down-to-earth guy. And the Peaky Blinders, I don't know if you haven't seen it yet or why you haven't seen it, but it's really a great production and really well done. But so this girl I had posted something that a friend of mine had seen Cillian Murphy in a luncheonette in Dublin. And I had posted it, and this girl put underneath it, "Oh, I love Cillian Murphy. Watch this movie." It was called something Detectives, And she said, "It's hilarious." So I put it on last night. I said, "Oh, great, man. A Cillian Murphy movie that I haven't seen. He was young in it." And the movie was like something that would come out of a high school production. I mean, the directing was terrible. The dialogue was terrible. The acting was terrible. Even Murphy, I said, you could put 10 Cillian Murphys in there. It wouldn't save this movie. I watched it for 10 minutes and aced it, So I guess I'm making an argument against my own argument. And defending your argument that confidence is the basis of just about every part of entertainment. I could say the same thing about stand-up comedy.
About life.
Yeah.
But I mean, look how much better we are on this podcast than we were 3 months ago, because we're confident. We found out what we can do, what we can't do. We depend on each other as a three-prong. What's the right word? I don't know.
We could be a group today.
Yeah, well, we could be a group today. Sometimes we
What do we call ourselves?
Let's check now, because we've got a real treat today. A very special guest, direct from the North Pole. It's old Saint Nick himself, Santa Claus.
That's what I got, Prince. Yeah.
Okay. Oh my God.
I think I'm improvising. Well, I'm like MacGyver. I'm cleaning the screen with my hat.
Holy Christ, Santa! What the hell happened to you?
What happened to me? Yeah. I'll tell you what happened to me. 24 hours straight. 24 hours straight I've been awake, all right? Flying my fucking magic sleigh all over the fucking world. All the good little kids getting presents from Santa Claus. Yeah, that's it. That's what happened to me. Fucking tired of my ass, man. I'm beat.
You don't sound very happy.
I'm very happy. Very happy because I can sit on my fat jingle bell ass for another 364 days till I got to work again. And I can drink. So, salute,
What happened to the red jacket, the red shirt? You look like you're wearing a Guinea smoking jacket there. What's going on there, Santa?
This is a prime wife beater, motherfucker.
Yeah. Well,
I don't need the red jack.
I've
The hats,
I've seen Mrs. Santa Claus. You get your ass kicked from her 364 days a year.
Oh, yeah? You think so? Well, I got news for you. There is no more Mrs. Santa Claus. I kicked her ass out. Scheming little whore. No. Seriously. I caught her fucking Jack Frost. You believe that shit? She's out on her fucking ass, bitch.
Jack Frost, he lives up by you also? What the hell is it?
Jack Frost makes all the snow and all that shit?
Yeah. What's his story?
My ex-buddy, that's what.
Tell me if you can send me an ounce of that snow. I wouldn't mind it with a straw.
Yeah.
Hey, what? Tell us about the reindeer. What's it like up there with Rudolph
Huh.
and the reindeer?
What's it like up here? Let's see. Geez. Well, we got snow. We got a lot of snow, and we got more snow, and we got ice. You like ice? We got plenty of ice. We got snow. We got more ice. We got more fucking snow, and we got reindeer shit. All the reindeer shit you could ever want. It's everywhere. All year long.
Do you ever get some on your boot?
Yeah, scraping it off my boots all year, man. Got the elves out there shoveling it. It stinks. It's like a pigsty. The whole North Pole's turned into a pigsty. Don't get me started with reindeer.
Do you have female elves?
As a matter of fact, we do. And I don't miss Mrs. Claus too much anymore. I got a little elf friend named Twinkle. Smoking, hot little body, man. Oh my God. Tight. Nipples like gumdrops.
Those tiny little hands, right? Those tiny little hands.
Say what?
When did
tiny
you go?
little hands on the elves. They must make you feel good.
Let's just say she's exactly the right height, if you get what I mean. I was not to kneel down.
So exactly how long ago did you take a bad turn, Santa?
That's tough to say. One day it just beat the shit out of me, and I said, you know what? Why do I have to keep up appearances? I cut the beard off. I lost a little weight. I did what I want to do. This is the first interview I've done in years, man. I don't give a shit anymore. I've been doing this for 1,000 years. Screw it.
How are kids different between 1700s and today?
You still got the little knob polishers, and you got the assholes. Okay, they're either nice or they're naughty. That's the way it goes. It's been that way forever, right? You know that. Kids are kids. They beat the shit out of them, or they don't need the shit beaten out of them.
What's your favorite snack, Santa, to have left at the fireplace?
Let me tell you, that's something that's been sticking in my craw for a while. I land on your guys' roofs, right? I crawl down your chimney. I get soot and black shit all over my nice red suit. I lay out toys for all you little brats. And what do I get out of it? I got a plate of stale cookies and some warm milk. Are you shitting me? How about next year, forget the cookies and milk and make it, prime rib and a bottle of Chivas, That shows some appreciation. Better yet, just leave cash, all right? I don't need nothing. Just leave the cash. Pile right on top of the mantle. That's what I want.
Cash is cash always fits, correct?
Absolutely.
So I see you hitting the bottle pretty hard there. Do you drink on a job also, or do you take one day off a year?
Man, I got to say, I used to drink on the job. I used to get shit-faced all the time. I barely know where the hell I was when I got home. But, I mean, the 80s, man, that was crazy. But I'm too old now. I'm too old. I can't do it anymore.
Man, you can't be drinking alone. You must have Rudolph in on the ball game, too. He didn't get that red nose in an ice cream parlor.
Well, Rudolph, that's another thing. We ate him years ago. But I did have his head mounted. I had stuffed and mounted. It's over the fireplace in the living room. Looks nice. I put a little red bulb in his nose. So we got a switch so we can switch it on and off. It's really cute.
I got to say, Santa, you seem awfully cynical. You do so much good work. You must get something out of this, some satisfaction.
Oh, well, yeah, sure. It makes me happy to know that I bring joy and laughter to kids everywhere from 1 to 92, and the knowledge that, some small good that I have been able to do has made this world a better place.
Wow. That sounds you sounded real sincere, Santa. Thank you so much. Hey, let me ask you, Santa. Do you have a favorite song that's been written about you? Like "Here Comes Santa Claus" or
They're all so schmaltzy. And
"Santa Baby"?
Santa Baby. That's
that sounded like Eartha Kitt looking to get laid.
yeah. Oh well.
Springsteen does it pretty good. Santa Claus is coming to town.
Yeah,
No,
I like that. Yeah, like Grandma got run over by a reindeer. That's funny. That I could see actually happening. Yeah, they're all the same. They're all the same. Give me a little Chicago blues and I'm happy. Totally.
Chicago blues is 20th century. What songs did you like back in the 1800s, let's say, or 1600? When did you actually start this whole Santa Claus routine?
Dude, if I could remember that, it's so far gone in my fucking mind. It's at least 1,000 years. I don't know before that. So,
well, you've seen the history of the world.
Man. Huh?
Well, it's so good to see you, Santa. I guess we should wrap it up. Are there any last thoughts you'd like to share?
Well, it's the day after Christmas. Got a whole nother year. Let me talk to the kids out there. I'm going to talk to the kids. Hey, kids. Uh-oh. It's your old buddy Santa Claus. Hey, how are you doing, huh? You happy, huh? All right, look, I'm giving you a little warning here. We got another year to go. For this next year, I'm going to be making a list, and I'm going to be checking it twice. I'm going to find out who's naughty, and I'm going to find out who's been nice. So by this time next year, you nice kids, well, you're going to get all sorts of nice presents and toys and candy and all that crap. Naughty kids, you naughty kids. Santa Claus is coming to town again. He's coming to your town. He's going to land on your roof, and he's going to piss down your chimney, and he's going to bust up all your fucking decorations, and he's going to take a big fat dump in your Christmas stocking, okay? So don't be naughty, because I'll fuck you up. Be nice. Be smart.
Merry Christmas, Santa. Merry Christmas, Santa.
Merry Christmas to you guys.
See you next year.
Merry Christmas, Santa. Thanks for coming.
Santa. Bye.
Top of the world.
Bye, Santa.
Wow. Santa Claus came to town. How about
Boy,
that?
oh boy, Frank, he's awful bitter. If he keeps banging on that bottle, they're going to stick his head up next to Rudolph's, mounted with that big red nose.
Well, did
I tell you, he's banging the hell out of that bottle.
Did they ever stick your head up to Rudolph with that big red nose?
Not mine, man. Are you kidding me? Look at that nose. That's a treasure. It's my longest appendage.
Yep.
I'm the only guy in the world that can run into a wall with a heart on and break his nose.
You know
Very
what?
proud of
You know how many times our audience has heard that? I think
don't know. You might have heard it more than the audience.
I think you probably said that on seven shows now.
Well, it always goes back to appendages. I don't know. But that Santa's got something out there on it, boy. Holy mackerel. I thought he was like a charming old man. Apparently not.
I guess not. And, I did learn one thing. Mrs. Claus is dead. And he's got a new little sweetie.
Yeah, a little elf.
What's her name? Twinkle? Twinkle, twinkle, little star. And he said she was the right height, too. I don't know. What do you mean by that?
I don't know what he meant by that. I don't know. It beats the hell out of me, Frank. You got to use your imagination somehow. I don't know. But I tell you, he's very bitter. I didn't expect Santa to be. I thought he was more jovial. More ho, ho, ho. Maybe that's what he meant by the ho, ho, ho.
Hey, where's Derek? Is Derek still there? I can't see you, but I'm sure you're there. So let's go back to the Bee Gees for a second. You were telling me that who Who told the story about Sinatra and the Bee Gees? What was that?
Yeah, well, no, it's not, what it is in the Bee Gees movie, after the Chicago White Sox, after this thing, you know what it was? After the disco got this connotation that it was for pussies. Disco's for pussies, rock and roll was the way to go, and everybody took it out on the Bee Gees. But they weren't really a disco band. They had falsetto voices, and people liked to dance to their music. But they weren't strictly a disco band, according to the documentary. But the backlash was so
Hey,
strong.
wait. Falsetto voices? That's like my grandma. She got a falsetto teeth.
Falsetto teeth, falsetto voices. But
Groucho Marx,
the
19...
backlash was so strong from disco that they sold, according to the documentary, they sold 1 billion records. 1 billion records. 1 year, and the following year they couldn't even get on the radio because everybody said disco sucks, disco's for pussies, disco, they burnt all the disco records at the White Sox game. So the backlash was strong, and it reminded me of backlash because once somebody becomes really, really big, once they get that big, like iconic big, then it's cool not to like them. You know, people had the same thing with the Beatles. They said, oh, the Beatles got 8 #1 songs in the top 10. I don't like the Beatles because I'm cool. I don't like the Beatles.
I like the Rolling Stones. I like the Rolling Stones. Just like people that go to Pebble Beach, they don't like the Pebble Beach golf links. They like Spyglass better.
Because it's cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I like Spyglass better. Well, the backlash was so strong with the Bee Gees. Like I said, from 1 billion records, they couldn't even get on the radio. So Lenny Bruce had said that, I guess, 20 years earlier. And he used to do a bit about it. And he said, because Frank Sinatra was so popular, he said the backlash against Frank Sinatra is that Frank Sinatra can't get laid. He says every woman thinks, well, everybody meets Frank Sinatra and opens their legs. I'm going to be cool. I'm not going to open my legs. So he says it's a big problem. Frank Sinatra can't get laid. And he used to do a whole bit about it, which I don't recall at the moment. And even if I did, I couldn't do it the way Lenny did it. And, of course, Lenny was 20 years ahead of his time. But
which would make him now 40 years behind his time.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, Lenny Bruce had one great line, not one, he had a million great lines, but one of my favorite lines, Lenny Bruce. He was always getting busted for heroin, you know, he was always had obscenity and heroin. And this is back in the 50s. But one time the cops blew into his hotel room in Alabama. And here's 2 cops, they bust open the door. And he's, of course, he's in a heroin haze, and he's got his works right there by the nightstand. And the cop picks up the needle, and he says, "What's this?" And Lenny Bruce, as whacked as he was, he looks up, he goes, "Don't you love that line?" He says, when I was reading this book, he says, "Don't you love that line? What's this?" I looked at the cop, I says, "You know what it is?" He says, "I get migraines, and I can't stand to taste asp." I think if I was a cop, I would let him go just for the line.
Yep. So, you know, that whole Bee Gees thing, that whole Chicago White Sox backlash started at Comiskey Park. And it was really, I hate to get back to race again, but it was really about race. Because it was supposed to be throwing disco records in, but they were throwing Four Tops in. Four Tops were anything but disco. They were throwing the Temptations in. The Temptations were anything but disco. They were throwing the Supremes in, Marvin Gaye in, and that's what they were blowing up. They were basically a testimony to maybe a little bit what we're seeing now in the United States, just coming around again. It never has gone away, but sometimes racism takes its ugly head in certain different forms. And I think that was the form it took in the 70s, a backlash against disco, because disco music really, despite what the Bee Gees were doing, disco music was Gloria Gaynor, I Will Survive. It was It's Raining Men. It was really anything but the Bee Gees, although the Bee Gees played a big role in it.
It was a Saturday Night Fever. But like I said, Marvin Gaye, the Temptations, the Temps, just because you can dance to the music, it doesn't make it disco.
Yeah, and you couldn't disco dance to Marvin Gaye.
You know, I saw Marvin in Germany.
You could fuck to Marvin Gaye, but you couldn't disco dance to it.
without a doubt. And he was Marvin. Marvin was great. I mean, Marvin. I think he might have been my favorite out of all of them but I did have a crush on Diana Ross, just like everybody else.
Wait a second. Wait a second. Derek, you going to let him get away with my favorite out of all of them?
Yeah, it's okay. He can't help himself.
Out of all of those, the Motown. Motown. I got specific. You know what? I saw Marvin Gaye in '67 in Stuttgart, Germany. And he didn't do a lot of live shows because Marvin had a coke problem, as we all know. Matter of fact, the joke was back then, his father had killed him. And
did you see him before or after his father?
Right?
Yeah.
And the big joke back then was that his father told him, "It's the last 45 you're ever going to hear." But I saw Marvin.
I'm lucky I can't see Derek because I don't know whether he's laughing or not. But
I got to do that. Like Don Rickles was doing about Sinatra. Is he laughing, Frank? Is he laughing?
Good thing he's 90 miles away from you, Billy.
But I got to tell you, the introduction for Marvin was amazing. I mean, he put on an unbelievable show. I mean, I was fortunate to see him because, like the Beatles, he didn't tour a lot. The Beatles didn't tour a lot either. You know, they were a studio band. Marvin, because of the coke, he didn't like to be live. I guess he started getting paranoid or whatever. But the announcer says, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the creator of such great songs is Let's Get It On. What's going on? Keep getting it on. Marvin Gaye. And I always remember the intro. But he was just fantastic. What a great show he put on. And then he was singing with Carla Thomas a lot too, you know. Duet. Just great.
Did you really like the show?
Yeah, what are you kidding me? Marvin Gaye, fantastic. Are you kidding me? He was tremendous. What a voice he had.
Yep.
And then the next question is, did you guys dance to disco?
Of course.
Come on.
There was a chance of getting laid.
If you had a chance of getting laid, you danced.
Hey, Derek, don't tell me you didn't dance to get laid.
I didn't have to.
Oh, well, that's a great answer, though.
Frank, you were a big Temptations guy, right?
You know what? If I looked like you, I wouldn't have danced to get laid either. But I don't look like you, and I don't look like Billy, so I had to dance for my supper.
My idea.
You did all right.
Get ready. Will you take a check, honey? Will you take a check? I was paying for so much pussy, I couldn't even get laid with my wife until she at least held my credit card.
That's pretty funny.
It just seemed to be part of the deal.
Yeah.
But you were a big Temptations guy, Frank. Tell me, do you think the Temps were ever the same after they lost David Ruffing?
Well, no. Yes, they were. But I was really more a Four Tops guy.
Oh, interesting. I was going to say.
Really?
Yeah, I liked the Tops better. Maybe it's just because they weren't switching singers all the time. They were the core four, and I like the Temps, and I probably like the Temps better in my 70s than I did in my 20s. Then I did like the Four Temps. I like the Four Tops now. Also, I met the Temptations once with Rod Carew. We were flying to Toronto for the 1991 All-Star game, and the Temps got on, and of course, the Temps knew Rod, and Rod knew the Temps, and we went to see a Temps concert. So maybe that influenced me a little bit more to like the Temps over the Four Tops as I got later in my years. But
that's a great story about when you met the Temps on that plane, and I believe there's a chapter in this wonderful new book that's out called "These Lips Would Talk."
I've heard about it. Have you read it, Derek?
Oh yes, I've read this book. It's of 2020. It's in the top 5 books of 2020. As a matter of fact, I think everybody should go out and pick it up.
And that chapter's in there about the Temptations and Rod Carew, and you want to play with them.
Yep. I want to congratulate our friend Maddie Kilcullen, who evidently finally got around to writing an Amazon review, a 5-star Amazon review. So that's good too. So speaking of Amazon reviews say I'm 9-4 in our picks.
Okay, let me bow again. The Guru. 9-4. I slipped below 500 again with another loser with New England.
Billy, you got
Jesus, another dog. Boy, I could pick dogs, brother. I couldn't pick a winner in a one-horse race. No shit.
you got to pick. You got to step away from the dogs. I think.
I don't know. I'm just a dog guy. I like the dogs. You know, it was interesting. Monday night, I don't know if you guys watched the Monday night football game, was Pittsburgh against Cincinnati. And obviously, Pittsburgh needed the game. They were 10-1 or something. And Cincinnati was 1-10. So everybody
wait. Pittsburgh was 11-2, having lost their last two games.
Okay, 11-2. But Cincinnati had a terrible record. I think maybe they were 2-11 then. Is that correct?
Something like that.
It was the opposite. Anyway, they were playing terrible. And the line opened up with 14 Monday night. Now, guys like to bet favorites. So Pittsburgh needed the game to win the division. So money was pouring in on Pittsburgh, and I was looking at the line in Vegas, and I'm looking at about 12 bookies on a chart, and the line was up to 14.5, which makes sense. 14 is an important number with bookmakers, like 3 or 7 or 11. The games fall on that number. And the line was up to 14.5. And then at the last minute, 3 minutes before game time, Caesar's Palace dropped to 13.5. That's a huge move right before the game. Like you could change a game early in the week with a say $1 million bet could change a line, but right before game time on a Monday night game, it takes an enormous amount of money to change that line. And by God, not only did they cover with 14.5, but Cincinnati won outright.
Wow.
I'll tell you a quick story. And
you never told a quick story in your life, but go ahead.
I'm Irish, Frank. I'm Irish. The first year I started bookmaking, I think it was 88. And the Super Bowl that year, Doug Williams was the quarterback for the Redskins, and they had a great team.
First
they
back in the Super Bowl.
That's right. And they were playing Denver in the Super Bowl. And it was my first year bookmaking with my partners. And, we had made a lot of money that year. But because it was our first year, we didn't realize that nobody ever wins. You can't win. Nobody wins betting. So we said, you know what? Washington's going to kill this team. They're going to kill this team. Now, we had made about 50 grand maybe, which was a lot of money for us in the day in 88. And we said, we don't want to lose all our money on one game because the Super Bowl, everybody bets the Super Bowl. I mean, there's priests that bet the Super Bowl. The FBI bets it. So everybody bets the Super Bowl. There's pools all over the place. So we said, we don't want to get killed. You know what we'll do? We'll do something smart. One of my partners said, get him on a plane. We'll send him out to Vegas, take 50 grand, and bet it on Washington as soon as the NFC Finals is over. Washington was playing Minnesota in the playoffs. And as soon as that game's over, go up to the window on the opening line, bet 50,000 on Washington because we knew the line was going to go up. And this way, the line opened up at 3.5. As soon as the Washington Redskins beat the Minnesota Vikings, the line opened up at 3.5. My friend goes up to the window. He says, Caesar's Palace. He goes up to the window. He says, I want to bet $50,000 on the Washington Redskins to beat the Minnesota Vikings minus 3.5. Now, we assumed the line might go up to 4.5, and if that was the case, we'd sell it to our players at 4.5, and if the game fell 4, which could happen, we'd win both sides, but at the very least, we'd break even, we wouldn't get hurt. So, he goes up to the window, he said, I want to bet 50 grand on the Washington Redskins. The guy behind the window says, whoa, slow down. He says, don't get caught speeding. He says, what do you think? You're going to walk in here off the street and bet $50,000? The guy says, Las Vegas. What are you kidding me? I want to bet $50,000 on the Washington Redskins. He goes, I tell you what, I give you $5,000. He says, you want it or not? He says, yeah, okay. So he gives him the $5,000. He pushes it through the window. The guy puts it into a computer. It looks like 2001: A Space Odyssey. The computer goes nuts. Sends it out to every casino in Vegas. He says, gives him a ticket, $5,000, Washington minus 3.5. He takes the ticket, he starts to walk away. The guy says, hey, kid, hey, come here. You want another 5,000 to 3.5? He says, yeah. Shovels the money through. The guy takes the ticket, blah, 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 blah. Again, blah, 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 goes all through Vegas. He says the line is now 4. And that was 4 all through Vegas. My point being is, 1 minute after the NFC Championship game, a stinking $10,000 changed that line from 3.5 to 4. Now, come Super Bowl Sunday, $15 million, $20 million wouldn't change that number from 3.5 to 4.
Wow.
Because Vegas is not going to get hurt. They're not in business to get beat. And we changed. So with $10,000, we changed the Super Bowl line. That's a true story.
Wow.
So when you were up $50,000,
Yeah.
where did you go to Vegas to bet on Washington for?
Because we all thought Washington was going to win, and we thought our players were going to do the same thing, and we thought that the general public would bet Washington and drive the lineup, and it did. The line opened up on Super Bowl Sunday at 4.5.
Did Washington win?
They won big. They creamed them. They beat them by like 4 touchdowns.
42-10 or something like that.
Yeah, they killed them. It was never a game.
Yeah.
So, but you know, what we didn't know was that suppose Washington would have lost, right? Now we're giving our money, we're giving our players money to Vegas. And when you think about it,
it wasn't very smart.
Your players only have a certain amount of money. They're going to lose anyway. Why are you doing Vegas's work for them by picking up all this money and giving it to Vegas?
Yep. Yeah. So why don't you give Vegas some money now? Why don't you give Vegas some money now and make your pick?
My dog of the week. Ladies and gentlemen, line up. Bet the Christmas money. This is it. The dog of the week.
And make sure the game's not played today, because I think they're playing 3 games today, and there's probably only 3 or 4 games tomorrow.
No, I got a Sunday game, and Green Bay is at home, and they're playing Tennessee. Tennessee's getting 4 points.
Ooh.
Then it went down to 3.5. So I'm going to take Tennessee plus 3.5 against the Pack.
That's a good bet.
All right.
Good bet.
Well, I changed my mind. Wait a minute. I think it was Guru.
They're playing in Green Bay?
They're playing in Green Bay. They opened up at 4. They went down to 3.5. I'm taking the 3.5 in Tennessee on the road.
I'm glad I don't have to pick that game. Okay, Derek, who do I got?
All right, ladies and gentlemen. For Frank, we got this game right here. You probably can't see it.
Guru.
All right,
Guru.
I can't. I still on
That's
steps.
okay. It's okay. It's okay. We got the New York Giants against Baltimore. The New York Giants against Baltimore.
How many points?
The points are 9.5.
Where are they playing?
They're playing in Baltimore.
Baltimore.
You're going with Baltimore.
Yep.
All right.
Baltimore minus 9.5 over the Gents. The Guru speak.
Yep. So, Billy.
That's it, folks. Christmas money. Send it in.
So, Billy, next week we're going to do a special show about what went right in the year 2020, because everybody's going to be doing what went wrong in the year 2020. We'll talk about what went right in the 2020, and then
it's going to be a short show, Frank. A very short show.
Yeah, I was going to say, what are we going to talk about?
And then we'll talk about what we expect in 2021. So,
I want to remind our viewers that we've had some great shows. We've had some great guests, and it's been so much fun this year. I mean, we've had great guests like Artist Gilmore and Joel Swicki. People can watch the archives of these shows just by going to a Mick, a Mook, and a Mike on Facebook or YouTube. Click on it and watch some of these shows, the archives, because some of these interviews have just been terrific for me anyway. And I'm sure our audience liked a lot of the Chris Cope. We've got a lot of great guests.
Yes, we do. And we've written a great book also, Mick, a Mook, and a Mike, plus, what's the name of our book?
If These Lips Could Talk.
Lips Could Talk by Frank Pace with
And I
Billy.
think The subtitle was War and Peace. Huge seller.
I knew War and Peace. I knew a guy named War and Peace. Can you imagine that? A guy by the
I
name
didn't
of
know War and Snap. I didn't know War and Peace.
That's an awesome name.
Holy smokes. Well, Merry Christmas, everybody. Have a Happy New Year's. Derek, what are you going to be doing on New Year's?
I haven't decided yet. I think we're gonna take a little trip up the coast, maybe. So haven't decided.
Good. I'm going to be
Close to
asleep.
California.
I'm going to be asleep.
Yeah, that's what.
You're gonna
Yes.
I'm gonna be
Yes.
asleep.
Frank, you gotta rest up. You got 20 more years you're gonna be living because you already made a deal with the devil. I don't know.
And I usually get up on New Year's morning with the what jet is that flies over the Rose Bowl? What's that fighter jet that looks like
F-105.
No, is it
Yeah.
the stealth bomber? Or is
the stealth bomber
Yeah,
usually flies
no.
over, wakes me up on New Year's morning. That ain't gonna happen this year,
That's
folks.
hilarious.
So I may not
Oh,
wake
that's
up.
right, the Rose Bowl. You're right near the Rose Bowl, right?
Yeah, I'm right up the street from the Rose Bowl, right in the flight path of the Rose Bowl. So no Rose Parade, no stealth bomber, no nothing like that. I'll probably go to bed at 10:30. Billy, what time are you?
I can't believe it, man. I can't even make it anymore. New Year's, this was my usual New Year's Eve deal. I used to go out and get 3 bottles of Dom Perignon. Put on ice, get an 8 ball of cocaine.
Oh my
I'd put
God.
4 Quaaludes in my pocket. I'd have, I swear to God. And then I'd go out partying. And you know what? New Year's Day was the day for all the bar owners to drink. Because New Year's Eve was amateur night. So the place would be packed, but we had business to do. So New Year's Eve, we'd be busy as hell. 5 o'clock in the morning, we closed the place down, and now we'd all head for after hours clubs. And I'd walk into an after hours club. I know everybody in the club. It'd be all bar owners and barmaids and waitresses because they were all still geared up from New Year's Eve. And then we'd drink all day, New Year's Day, watching the football games and betting on the games. It was my favorite day of the year because I'd be in the bar still from last night. I'd be drunk for 2 days and betting football games. Of course, I'd lose as much money on New Year's Day as I made New Year's Eve, but it was the circle of life, Frank, the circle of life.
Circle of life, indeed.
So just so I can prepare for the future, when did this stop?
1958. When you were 58, Billy?
No, for both of you guys. Did you? So Frank, you never did anything on New Year's Eve?
No, I always did a lot on New Year's Eve.
Okay.
I stopped when my wife lost interest.
Yeah, but what?
Like, you used to go to, like, what kind of parties did you used to go to, Frank? I mean, they must have been, like, Hollywood classy parties, people's houses. Did you go out to, like, hotels or what?
Variety of things, but we just usually went to friends. The most glamorous thing we ever did was one year we went to Andre Agassi and Brooke Shields' house, but that was about the most glamorous thing I ever did.
Well, that's pretty glamorous. I think our audience would like to hear about that.
Yeah,
Well, they're not going to hear about it.
How old was Brooke Shields in them days?
It was probably 20 something years ago, so maybe 26, 30,
Wow.
26, 30, something like that.
Wow.
I'll tell you a quick story about that. We went to the Andre Agassi Gala one year. He has a gala in Palm Springs, huge gala, and he has an auction every year. And one of the auction items was a photo, a painting that he ended up paying $250,000 for at the auction. So at his house that night, we went down the cellar because we were having a party down the cellar, and behind the bar in his cellar was the $250,000 painting. So much for
Wow. The guy
$250,000.
paid $250,000 painting and actually in the cellar.
He put it behind the bar in the cellar, his party room in the cellar. He put it behind the bar.
The joints I used to drink in weren't even worth $250,000. The whole bar.
Yeah. So
That's amazing, man.
I'll tell you another quick story. It's a same setup at the auction. George Lopez and I were sitting at Andre's table, and one of the next auction item came up, and it was going to be the Commodores would perform at your party. So George looked at me and he said, "How much can we afford? This would be a great gift for the wrap party. What do you think we could afford?" I said, "Well, I think we could put up 25 grand from the show." He said, "Okay, I'll match it for 25 grand." And so the bidding starts, and he goes, the bidding starts at 20,000, and George confidently shoots his hand up. He says, $20,000, just as fast. Somebody says 25. George goes, 30,000, just as fast. Somebody goes 35. So it keeps going on. And just as fast as George could shoot his hand up, other people are bidding higher. So and George's stride's getting a little bit shorter with each bid. We finally gets to the magic mark of $50,000, and George goes, $50,000?
Question mark?
Question mark. And the bidding went all the way up to $250,000, and we looked over. We were bidding against Steve Wynn, the guy who owned the Mirage.
Oh,
So
Wow.
deep pockets.
We had no chance of winning that bid either. But
Well, I wish I was at that auction. I would have auctioned off my talents, right? How'd you like to do 45 minutes of stand-up for Billy O'Connor? I would have did it for a warm six-pack.
yeah. Well, with that, I'm going to close by wishing everybody. I'm going to try to wish everybody a Happy New Year again. And you guys have a great New Year's, and I'll see you next week.
Happy New Year to everybody out there, and a happy belated Christmas to everybody out there. And Frank, that Irish soda bread's in the mail, brother. It's coming.
Great.
Just like the check, it's in the mail, pal.
I'm looking forward to getting it. Happy New Year, Derek.
Happy New Year. You guys have a nice nap.
Everybody. Happy New Year out there, fellas, girls, and guys. Enjoy your hope the year ahead's nothing but happiness for everybody out there.
Great.
Yes.
See
Happy
ya.
New Year's.
See ya.
We'll see you next week.